So we started doing some investigations of quadratics. We've talked about things like axis symmetry. We know a little bit about the roots or the zeros of quadratic equations. We're going to think today about one aspect of the quadratic formula which relates to the quadratic equation, which is called the discriminant. And this helps us understand, from looking at an equation without actually figuring out the roots exactly, whether it is going to be a quadratic equation like this one, which has two roots, crosses the x-axis twice, or one like this one, which has one double root, i.e. it just touches the x-axis, or like this one, has no real roots, and so it never touches or crosses the x-axis. And we can figure this out by using what is called the discriminant. And this is what we're learning about today. And the discriminant is one part of the quadratic formula. Can anyone tell me what the quadratic formula is? Start with x equals. What you start?
X equals minus b.
Negative b, yep.
Yeah, plus minus.
Plus or minus.
The square root.
Square root of.
b squared.
B squared minus 4ac.
I'm just going to write this in different colour because that's what we're talking about. Yep. And the rest of it?
Over 2a.
Over 2a. Okay. So that's our quadratic formula. What is that used for? What do we use that for?
Quadratic.
Yeah, but what are we going to do with it?
Solving.
Yeah, so when we have a quadratic equation equals to 0, we want to work out what x equals, or when we want to work out where it crosses the x-axis. They're exactly the same thing, is what we're talking about. Now, looking at that quadratic formula, as part of that quadratic formula, we have this bit of it here, which is a square root of b squared minus 4ac. Now, what do we know about square roots when we're working in the real number system? What can't be square rooted?
Negatives.
Negatives. Okay, so in the real number system that we're talking about here, we cannot have anything that's inside that square root that is going to be negative, otherwise it does not work. Okay, and so that's an idea that we're going to use now when we talk about our discriminant, because we're going to break down the three types of things we might have inside that square root. And so we're going to talk about this discriminant, and that's a symbol that we use, a triangle, as being just this b squared minus 4ac part of the quadratic formula. And we're going to say there are going to be three different instances of that discriminant. It could be that the discriminant is positive, it is greater than 0. Okay, so if what's inside there is greater than 0, we are going to know straight from that that it is one of these types of parabolas. One that cuts the x-axis twice, one that has two roots. It could be that the discriminant equals 0. It could be that when we plug in the b squared and the 4ac and we take the 4ac away from the b squared, we find that the result is 0. And that's going to tell us that it's going to be one of these types of parabolas here, which has one equal, or sometimes we talk about double, root. Or it could be that the discriminant is less than 0. It's going to be negative. And again, that's what we know we can't have inside a square root sign when we're using real numbers. And so if you plug that into a calculator, you come up with a maths error. But in those situations, it's actually alerting us to the fact that it's this type of parabola up here, the one that never crosses the x-axis. There are no solutions to when that equation equals to 0. Okay? And so we could have 2 roots. We could have 1 equal or a double root, or over here we could have no real roots. Okay? The 3 instances of the discriminant. One, that it's positive, greater than 0. That means there are 2 roots, 2 real roots. It could be that it equals 0, and that it's 1 double root, or an equal root to each other. Or when it's less than 0, there are no real roots. Okay, so let's put this into practice. With an example.
What's that last one? Why didn't you write 0 to the last one? Down the bottom, so the green ones.
No real roots.
No, as in, yeah.
No, the bottom, you said you wrote b squared minus 4ac. And
Oh,
you did the
sorry.
same.
Yeah, sorry, my mistake. Yeah, that's less than 0. Sorry. Less than 0. Yes,
Can I get a drink, please?
sure. Okay, can I write that out?
Yeah.
So consider the function x squared minus 2x plus 4 does this equation, does the parabola that is drawn from this equation, from this function, look like this one, as a blue one, this one root, this one over here, the green one with no roots? Which one? So that we use the discriminant. Discriminant equals b squared minus 4ac. And we take our a, b and c that we're used to as the x coefficient, the x squared coefficient is the a, the x coefficient is the b, and the constant term is the c on the end. And so what is b in this? Negative 2. So negative 2 squared minus 4 times what's a? 1. What's c? 4. Okay? Equals. Negative 2 squared is positive 4. 4 times 1 times 4 is 16. 4 minus 16 equals negative 12. So therefore, the discriminant is less than 0. Therefore, no real roots. Okay? It's like this one over here. So using the discriminant, we can work out straight away that this function has no real roots. The parabola drawn from that function never crosses the x-axis.